the shinola on that one. All right. Now, I would like to address this arts funding issue. Now, this all reminds me of a humorous story of the traveling salesman. Let's say that the taxpayer is a farmer and the government is a salesman. Well, the farmer says you can spend the night in my barn, but do me a favor, don't stick your willy into any of the 3 holes in the wall. Well, in this case, the salesman's willy represents the taxpayer's money, you understand. Well, the government, like the salesman, can't help himself. Sticks his willy in the first hole, it feels good. Sticks his willy in the second hole, it feels even better. Sticks his willy in the third hole, and it hurts like hell, and it won't let go. Well, in the morning, the farmer comes out and he explains. Behind the first hole was my wife, behind the second hole was my daughter, and behind the third hole was a milking machine that don't let go till it gets 50 gallons. Gentlemen, I propose that this arts funding is like a milking machine, and unless we shut it down, it's going to rip our dicks right off.
Probably.
And just mix it into the vanilla?
Yeah.
Yeah? Maybe just do that.
Did you get the cheese fry?
Mini?
Yeah, the kids' meal.
So there was a cheese fry in the kids' meal. Okay, ultimate fry sauce with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And a sloppy wiener.
That is not a thing. He's such a jerk.
I am so sorry. This is my son and he is a jerk. Sorry.
Stupid. Are you positive that there's nothing?
It is not a thing.
Okay. Such a jerk.
That's that T-C.
Well, haven't you anything to say? Anything? Out of sheer honesty? Well, yes, I would just love a duck dinner.
Dusty, go on over to that piano.
Oh, no.
No.
I haven't played in so long. I couldn't. Been a long time.
All right. We're going to do a little number for you, but remember, we're a bit rusty, so bear with us. Just like the old days.
All right.
Maestro?
My little buttercup has the sweetest smile. Dear little buttercup, won't you stay a while? Come with me where moonbeams paint the sky, and you and I might linger in the sweet by and by. Oh, dear little buttercup, with your eyes so blue. Oh, little buttercup, you're a dream come true. You and I will settle down in a cottage built for two. Dear little buttercup, I love you.
Everybody!
My little buttercup has the sweetest.
It's my ear.
Great.
Dear little buttercup, won't you stay out?
Wild.
You and I will settle down in a cottage built for two. Dear little buttercup, sweet little buttercup, my little buttercup, I
Thank you, Hetty, thank you.
It's not Hetty, it's Headley Lamar.
The hell are you worried about? This is 1874. You'll be able to sue her.
I took these out of every single garment in the store.
What?
They're desiccates. See, they absorb moisture. These clothes won't last 5 years without them.
That's not gonna do anything.
Patience.
All right, forget it.
What?
You have screwed me again, pennypacker.
Hello there, son. Do you know where Mr. St. Cloud is?
Oh, goody. I'm being hazed by my big villain. I wear my rubber panties just in case you tickle me. I always make wee-wee with tickles.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's St. Cloud?
Look, this is just an informal chat. We were wondering what you were working on in your lab.
Well, I've invented a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Right, and what's positive about that?
Well, it's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, could it also give worms to ex-boyfriends?
This is a drug for the world to give worms to ex-girlfriends.
Well, great. Thanks for stopping by.
You just don't get it here.
John, the kind of control you're attempting is, it's not possible. Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but, well, there it is.
There it is. You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
I'm married to a woman.
These are all my regulars. You strike me as a angry top. I'm clean, but you do have to glove up unless you're down for some frottage.
Frottage?
It's French for rubbing our dicks together.
Tell me, Senator, did you nurse Catherine yourself?
What?
Did you breastfeed her?
Now, wait a minute.
Yes, I did.
Toughened your nipples, didn't it?
Oh, son of a bitch.
Amputate a man's leg and he can still feel it tickling. Tell me, Mom, when your little girl is on the slab, where will it tickle you?
Take this thing back to Baltimore.
Have you even heard him sing?
He made me sing last night. And if I were straight, I'd make you high-five me right now.
You are letting your judgment be completely clouded by lust.
Yes, thank you. See, Robert, Saul gets it.
Look, this isn't about me anymore. That dunce cannot be Sky.
Robert, I hear you, but I feel like you're not even considering Stevie's badonkadonk.
Let's get back to
Right, so these punks,
Yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual.
Wow.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces.
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot them in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway, you guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
All right, come out or I'll blast you out.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. Everything is ready. We're raring to go.
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our last episode of 2024 because, well, it's New Year's Eve, everyone. And if you're running late, Happy New Year. And in an hour, we'll be doing an East Coast time, even though we're a West Coast channel. Because there ain't no way I'm staying up another, oh my God, it'd be 4 hours. I've never done that long a show before. I actually have done some wrestling streams that were pay-per-view based, and those are boring as F. But if you want to check those out, you could go to Yule Carter's channel. For those of you that don't know,
my name is Yule Carter, comic book retailer in Berkeley, California.
That's right. This is me, Yule. You can see that. Fantastic Comics, a responsible retailer. You know, I made that responsible retailer tag when a certain individual on YouTube, on X, Twitter at the time, mentioned how store owners were responsible for the glut of variant covers and the bad, comics that are out there. And if by ordering them, we are just enabling those people to continue putting shitty merchandise out there. And, well, that person's supposed to be making a comic book, so who knows? Maybe we'll review it someday and see what we think if it should ever come out. Fuck that person, you know what I mean? Speaking of, I'm going to be upset about another person that said something shitty about retailers this week. Stay tuned. Oh, how exciting. I didn't even know I was going to say it that way. I run Fantastic Comics, and with the exception of tomorrow and last Wednesday, and, certain situations, Fantastic Comics is always open Wednesday through Sunday, 12 to 5 p.m. I was actually sick on Sunday, so I decided to, take the day off. And since there was not going to be a ton of customers, and I let them know with the sign on the door, Instagram posts, that type of stuff, I ain't going to be in. And I took that Sunday off. Monday we have off. Tonight's Tuesday, and tomorrow's going to be off. I should be fit as a fiddle come Thursday. Ready to sell you some books. We're going to be talking about what those books are coming out soon in a little bit. Thanks for joining me. I've got a special video that I hope I won't be stopped for playing. I get demonetized for these videos sometimes, and that's no big deal because we don't have that many views. There's a lot of people out there on YouTube doing comic book stuff. I went over to I Love Comics earlier tonight, and they were talking about the 100 best comics by some website from this year. Holy cow. So that's going to take a while. They only have till 9, and that's exactly when I'm going to be playing that video. Well, 10 seconds till. I can't wait, because if you saw the very first video that I played today, it's the very end to that. And if you know what that means, then you know what that means. And if you don't, stay tuned. Plus, there's a little Dodger blue in there, if you know what I mean. So, we talk about comic book things here, things that affect me, things that affect my comic book store, and we talk about the comic books that come out, sometimes the industry, like I'm going to in just a little bit. And let's make some news. Like I said, there's other people on YouTube doing stuff right now. You got comic book professionals, if you can call crowdfunders professionals, former professionals that are crowdfunders. So, worthless, right? I'm joking. I buy some of that stuff. And if you're working at a company, what are you crowdfunding stuff for? My goodness. I mean, it's not like Avatar isn't publishing stuff, or are they? Well, I'm sure there's like a Lady Death that they're reprinting, something that was crowdfunded. And yeah, there you go, Lady Death. Talking shit about Lady Death, talking shit about YouTubers. What kind of drama channel is this? I know. No, this is just, we just talk about things here that happen in the store. And sometimes I get a little crazy. I talked on Saturday to Thinking Critical. I was on the Comics Aficionados last of the year. Yeah. Last year, I was on a special Christmas episode with Eric Canetti. And if you saw that or go back to see that, we were just talking about things that we love about comics. And it's a comic creator there. So I got to really jabber at him. And we just had some really fun conversation, me and the panel. There will be a Mother's Basement eventually. And it's going to be a tearjerker. You're going to definitely want to be a member of this channel, not just a subscriber, but a joiner. When people that pay money, it will be a private video because I can't cry to just anybody. You know what I mean? There's just no crying for everybody. I only give you the threat of crying. Anger, that's easy. That comes naturally with me. But I'm not gonna just, sob for you. So that's something I did last year with Thinking Critical. But this year was the end show. We actually talked about some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in just a little bit. But first, I like to talk about something that is it's involved in comics for sure. There have been comic creators that have been these people. There have been these people that have been these people. Are the comic book creators? No, they're not. I don't think there's any comic creators that were these people. It doesn't matter. You know what segment this is. Just get to the fucking point, you know what I mean? God. CM Punk was a writer of comics, is what I wanted to say. I don't think there's many comic book people that have been writers over at wrestling, but I know there have been some writers that are big fans of wrestling, and some actually do the comic books, and some of them are artists like Daniel Warren Johnson, Adam Polina, the Hernandez brothers. In fact, I don't think actually Jeremy Adams, I don't know if he's a fan, but he did a really cool Wrestling Flash issue. And it's been a subject matter. Thing was an intergalactic champion, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? So wrestling is not uncommon in the comic store, but not unlike regular sports. It isn't always something that's talked about in our, in our presence. Some of us are multicultural and can, and we can enjoy finer things like boxing and sports and music. And movies. I talk about wrestling also, though. And AEW had a pay-per-view. It was their last of the year, and there was a lot of blood. I was going to show you a Kerry clip, but why bother? WWE, they had a really nice SmackDown match that I saw on YouTube, full match. It was between Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes, and there was an interruption so that it saved face for everybody that was fighting and continued a story. So, that's how that kind of stuff goes. Speaking of stories, on yesterday, this is all on YouTube. the New Day were talking with Jey Uso, the main event Jey Uso, the Yeet Man himself, and Jey had something to say to the New Day.
New Day sucks.
That's right. New Day sucks. Oh, I love that. The crowd was really hot for Jey. I mean, he's pretty over. I saw somebody on X say, you got to give this guy a championship, like for real, main event style. But we're going to talk about, Gunther not being champ, Cody Rhodes not being champ over Jey. I mean, I don't know. And for people that don't like Cody, I feel he's Gorilla Glue right now. It's not really so much that he is the greatest ever or the most popular ever, but he is strong as hell. And when he tore that pec, he really changed. He changed my thoughts of who he is. I mean, he really did it. He quit the Fed, and he blazed his own trail. He said all these things to get all the marks, the smart marks. Hot for what he was going to do. He went and he did them, and he was very successful. He helped start AEW. I was pretty hot for that initially, and I mean, not like some, jeez. And then he moved on over. Motorcycle Time. And he moved on over. So he's doing a really good job. Speaking of Jey, his real feud and the reason why he came out to play.
Oh, the Scottish psychopath!
Oh, I love that. The Scottish psychopath. Drew McIntyre has really done a really good job making me care about his evilness. He had some really good stuff with CM Punk. I mean, it was silly, but it's wrestling silly. And really, really cool stuff. On the ladies' side, Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyrie, Irish Pride, everyone. They won their matches, and they're going to meet up, I think, next week on Monday Night Raw, which debuts on Netflix. Somebody here will be watching that. And that's for the Intercontinental Women's Champion. I may have erroneously said Chelsea Green was the Intercontinental Champion. She's the U.S. Women's Champion. So they have U.S. and Intercontinental belts also. But the main event of the evening was a conversation by one CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And this was pretty good, and I could get in trouble for this, but I think I clipped it just right. Everything is very, very important that you hear, and it's all from the mouth of CM Punk, of course.
Next week, those same arrows that were supposed to do me in, I carry to this day. And I'm walking into LA, Netflix, live and in living color, with a fistful of arrows, and I'm gonna jam them down your corporate throat.
Wow, I love that. I mean, they want to make Punk, kind of like he used to be. Seth Rollins is saying, you're a cancer. And they just had a really good little conversation. And again, you can go to YouTube and check the whole thing out. Hopefully WWE realizes I'm advertising for them. And that's the Wrestling Minute. I'm just selling stuff. You know what I mean? That's what we do here at this show. Let's see. 8:25. Does anybody ever really care about the new year? I mean, it's not really much of another day, right? Or it's just another day. Maybe a day you get off. Maybe time you less work. Football. I used to watch a lot of college football. Back when I thought I was going to get taller. I was going to taller. Dad, all you're as tall as you're going to be. And he was right. He shrunk, though. And, here we are. Owning a comic store. Dumb. Let me just erase these pictures right here. I got all the other ones up. And, since we're here right now, let's just talk about... No, you know what? This is a proper time to do this. This is what I want to say to each and every one of you.
Hello. 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 Oh. Go. Look out. Hello.
Hello. Thanks everybody for joining in. This is what I'm going to read your comments, whether you were here early or on time, here now. First up, Eric O'Sullivan. Gizmo. For those of you that don't know Gizmo, he is my store. He is not the store dog. He is my dog, and he comes to the store with me. Look at him in a box. Oh, that's so cute. That's when we first opened, or were opening. Actually, I don't have to do that. I can do this. Forgot. God, I had a beer here. Put it in the wrong place. Let me do this. Boops for Gizmo for the new year. I wish you all a happy new year and hope you all keep coming back to the shop for new funny books every week. Let's save comics. Amen. That's the, there's criticism, and then there's just being a negative Nancy, right? I have a feeling that when you're listening to people that don't like comics, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, I would suggest to them that they're just reading too many comics. That, it ain't all that serious. And if it is, just read something else, because there is a shit ton of books. And if you don't like what you're reading and you still want to keep reading comics, you may want to change what you're reading. So, it's kind of it's inherent on you making the proper decision. And there isn't, not everything's great, but comics are good. I love comics. It's a medium that isn't like any others, unless you're, I guess, comic strips. Fantinuum. Yo, happy new year. I tell you what ball didn't drop: my workout and diet. Going into 2025 like a Flashpoint Superman without exposure to the sun. Oh, I like that. Cheers. And that guy, actually, though, you're way buffer than that Superman. You know what I mean? That guy was emaciated, very sickly looking. In the other room, we have Jilby Pill. Hello. How's your father? Happy New Year. I'll be lurking as I'm hanging with the family. Well, I'll try not to curse anymore then. Dwayne Muth. Happy New Year, Yule. Happy New Year to you. Have we ever seen this? MC won't make it to midnight. Too tired, but dropping it by to say Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year, MC. Thanks for joining, and leave a comment afterwards. Let us know what your favorite book of the year is. Jason Bush, Happy New Year. All right. Jason, thanks for the comment on Instagram. I posted, like I said, a little signage that I wasn't going to be in the store on Sunday, and that was awesome. I had another customer that actually came by the store but saw the sign and then said something. That's cool too. Maybe that was you. I may be confusing you with someone else. That's a packed house, Erica Sullivan. I know. Tell me about it. Look at all you guys. All right, excellent. Oh, wait, one more. I could be watching Trash Cast with EVS at Fantastic Comics. Yeah, I know. I saw him. I saw his post on X, and I actually turned it on as I was running the clips at the beginning, and he was talking about Eric July not being on YouTube anymore. And all I can say is, that was the reason it smelled a lot better. Don't clip that and put that on X. That, my friend, is a jerk thing to say. And it's perfect, I think, really. I ran through everybody. That's all the comments. And you can Sick Burns by Yule also. We've got 29 minutes before the East Coast gets to celebrate, and we're going to do it with them with a little video. Can't wait, especially for all those New York fans out there. This is going to be great. All right. I guess it's time to talk about the best of last week. Dun, 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 dun. Best of last week. I didn't really read a whole lot, and we didn't have a whole lot of sales. There's a lot of books. So when you come back to the store because you took a little break, and I know, of course, obviously, there's going to be a lot of stuff because there's a lot of stuff coming out next week. Don't you worry. You're going to have time to recoup those funds because, so for people that don't know, there's this thing called the FOC, which is Final Order Cutoff. And anytime you hear somebody bitch, but at the same time compliment Brian Hibbs, this is the main reason why they do that. He's a mud raker. You know, he really gets in there and makes things happen by complaining. So when I say complaining never helps, that's not true. You have to be Brian Hibbs. And he got, because Marvel lied on their submission for our orders and was consistently breaking their time of release and stuff when we were expecting books to come out, and I think Image also and a few others. So when you see like things aren't doing well for the industry back in the extreme, and it's not just extreme, but that period of Image, there was a lot of lateness in comics, and Marvel wasn't the only one. But I think they were targeted the most, and because of that, the Final Order cutoff is a month before the book hits the street. You have a chance to change your numbers. So if a book is late, like let's say Superman, God, I don't even remember what it's called anymore. It's Superman something. It's a Black Label book that Mark Waid did with Brian Hitch. Will Brian Hitch even still be doing it? Why did it take so long? There is no conversation about it whatsoever. But don't worry, because a month before that book actually comes out, you're going to get to change your numbers. Got to be on it weekly, though, because there's a Final Order cutoff every week. And they do that for Penguin Random House now. They do it. And Penguin might not have needed to do that, because that was back when everybody was over at Diamond. But that is still going on. And I mean, geez, Brian Hibbs, way to go. That's like a major thing. He also got money back for comic stores. Being a comic store owner, you can understand why he'd want to do that. Sold out. Didn't get a whole lot, but I mean, we've been selling it pretty well, and I've been having to do the reorders. Batman, The Long Last Halloween. And each issue is illustrated by a different person, and it's all written by Jeff Loeb. You can only imagine that Tim Sale would have been doing the interiors had he not died. Or maybe had he not died, the book would have never come out the way they do things these days. Dave Stewart, really one of the only colorists ever worth mentioning, is on the cover, as is Richard Starkings, but, you know, why not? I mean, he ruined lettering for comics, so why not put him on the cover? The Last Halloween is the third of the trilogy that Loeb and Sale did way back when on The Dark Victory and The Long Halloween. And this is the third part. And each issue, like I said, is being done by a different person. Some very classic people, some very great people. And seriously, this is like one that you want to get, because you're not going to necessarily see all these people all the time anymore. And you never know when, oh man, I'm thinking of real life now. You never know when, like, you know, things are going to just end. And one of those books that people talk really, really badly about, but I'm enjoying the Uncanny X-Men and the X-Men story. The reason why I say Uncanny X-Men is because right now there's this whole raid on Graymalkin, and it's a 4-part story and 2 parts in each of the issues that you're probably going to buy anyway. And it's a fun little story, and people talk a lot of crap, but I liked it a lot. And, you know, there's one other book I'm going to mention for Best of Last Week, but we're going to actually talk about the Best of Last Year. But first, I want to talk about the worst of the week. And the worst of the week last week was Time Slide. And it really isn't because of Steve Fox writing it. But if you saw me talking about next week's books last week, you'll know that when I was talking about time slide, I'm like, oh, Bishop and Cable in a book where, you know, we're going to see some time shenanigans, and I'm down with that. And then I saw Steve Fox's name, and I thought about all the customers that dropped off on, you know, the books that he did. And the people that didn't say they enjoyed it. You know, people came back recently and told me that Void Rifles is really good. So, you know, they're getting caught up. I have people that really like Rook Exodus and things like that. I really like some books, and I talk about that. But never a Steve Fox book, even though there's really nice covers, and the very least by DNA, classic cover. DNA doing the Marvel Girl, resurrecting as the Phoenix, and of course putting Marvel Girl in it. Beautiful Cable Mike Del Mundo cover. One of the only digital artists I really like. His panel layout sometimes isn't that great, but man, I love his covers. He really does some really imaginative stuff and just fun stuff. And look at that time gun. But the reason why this is the worst of the week is not just because it's drawn by Rob Liefeld, because, you know, for me, Rob Liefeld is a love it or leave it kind of guy. On the interiors, it usually looks just as poor as this, but there's a I can never say the word. It's dynamic and different than almost any other person. It tells a story in a way that really makes you want to keep reading it or put it down immediately, but you probably weren't going to pick up that book anyway. It's more about Rob Liefeld selling how awesome this cover was, and you should really have gone to your store to pick this up. But what Rob fails to tell anybody is that this was an incentive variant. For people that don't know, an incentive variant means a store has to buy a certain amount in order to qualify for this. There are 1 in 10. Well, some companies do 1 in 5. You buy 5 of any of the covers that we give you, and you can get 1 of this one. Some actually unlock the ability to buy multiples of these books. But more often than not, it's 1 in 10, 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100. If you're really selling a book, like maybe something we might talk about soon, 250, 500, 1,000, crazy numbers. But for a book written by Steve Fox, 50 is a ridiculous number. And that's how many you had to buy in order to get this Rob and be able to order more for more money, another copy, just one of this book. Meaning I better have somebody on the line for this book, and it better cover all the extra copies I don't think I'm going to be selling. But Rob doesn't say that shit. Now he says this. Oh, you know, see, this is the post I saw today, but I was able to change. He said, if you can locate one, they're out now. Retailers slept on another killer opportunity. Rob Liefeld can go fuck himself, okay? 50 this is what I say. You can follow me at Big Blue Yule. 50 copies is a big retail ask when I'd have to upcharge your book way more than normal, since I'd be stuck with a fucking Steve Fox comic. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Think about it. This book here was $4.99, $5.99, $6.99, $7.99. No, it's not a Jonathan Hickman book. We couldn't possibly do that. One of those prices, meaning I have to pay half of that cover, right? You can do all the math you want to get to 50. And then you can figure out all the ones I'd have to sell or what I'd have to sell that book depending on how many books I have left over. I mean, seriously, it's the ones I also sold. But regardless, if I sell 0, I have to really upcharge that book. You know what I mean? So Rob saying that kind of stuff is like ridiculous. Excuse me. He says eBay has some bid up right now. Super hard to obtain. Crazy money. It was one of those. Let me get my face on this. I saw for $200, you can buy a 9.8 CGC slab book. And you know what I think about a CGC slab book? And a 9.8 from a book today is not impressive at all. especially if it's a 1 in 50. I mean, you might as well have had, I mean, it was going to be shipped from the company, you know, that way. There's times you buy those things and there aren't any on 9/8, you know. It happens. Does that make a 9/6 a 9/8? A 9/4 a 9/8? A 9/2 a 9/8? Idiots. How many Rob Liefeld fans are out there that make money that can buy that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? Well, it's Christmas time, so it's a good time to spend $200, right? You made some money. Hanukkah's this time. Maybe got some money each day. It's great. Or, you know, oh, sorry. Or you could just, you know, just like this cover, you could have more of them. And then everybody could see DNA whop your ass with this hot Phoenix cover. Or heaven forbid, Del Mundo sell more copies than you do. Or just the regular artist on the main cover. You know what I mean? So Rob's, you know, I believe he, you know, for the most part, he's really good at being sincere about his stuff. But no, give me a break. He's talking smack about retailers, and I went to his page to look for that, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know. This X was being wonky for me. Still got a few minutes, so we're gonna talk about the best of last week, 2024 edition. First up, I had a lot of books to think about, and mostly I was doing it on sales, but some I was doing on love. And sometimes I was able to do both at the same time. I'm not including original graphic novels and very few miniseries, even though I'm going to probably be starting off with a couple. But, you know, these are the best of last week for 2024 and culminating what I assume, you know, with all those parameters, what the best book of last year is. And before we get to that, let me just go to comments. Just kill a little bit of time. All right, you guys saying Happy New Year. You know I'd be watching. Metamorpho was weird. Al Ewing was trying to be too snappy with the narrative captions and word balloons. It's kind of a miss for me, yet every time I see Element Girl, I think Gaiman Sandman. Oh yeah, definitely. Great issues. Or issue. Spider Guy, home for New Year's Eve crew. Jesus Christ. I got New York on the brain, obviously. I don't get the grousing over ASM. I mean, it's actually better than decent. The Ireland issues are fine. That Melnikov art is great. I like Melnikov a lot, although he talks some smack, I guess, about John Byrne. Although every time I read him talking about John Byrne, it seemed like he liked him. I'm actually a fan of his work. It might be too kiddie sometimes, but not too Todd Knock. You know what I mean? So Melnikov is really good. And yeah, the Ireland issues were good. And I was kind of, you know, I talked about how I said she or any woman will never write Spider-Man. But I mean, if she writes competently, I knew I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's just, I'm really excited about Joe Kelly taking over. Finally read the first 6 issues of Rook Exodus. Great stuff, Jason says. Excellent. Cheers to that. The only Ghost Machine I've read were the first 6 issues of Geiger, the first miniseries. I haven't read anything since, and I just can't. But I believe everybody, and I love Jeff Johns. Love, you know, like a 7 out of 10. I've really liked reading his comic books, but for the most part, the only ones I ever collected were his flashes, like Scott Collins on art too. And but boy, he's really working with some awesome talent, and you know, some talent that's getting up there in age. So it might be the last time we see them work super regularly. Stegman got some hand-drawn onomatopoeia in some of his panels. Decent fight scenes, I agree. But again, maybe a little too kiddie for some people. Also, Timeside wasn't that bad. It's pretty mid, and it makes a mess makes sense at the end. And it's a lot like the Aughts DC event prelude special, like DC Universe Zero, except that was $1, like most people said. Meldikov is a John Romita Jr. in a way. Oh, okay. All right. And you just started Time Slide, but didn't finish it. Time Slide. Dwayne Booth. The double spread Liefeld Hulk face and Deadpool team up is pretty dope. Would be cool to own those pages. Well, yeah, for sure. $60 on eBay. Let's see here. TG for back issues. Wait, TG. Sorry, TG. Rob is a master at selling ice to an Eskimo for sure. Nice guy, but shills way too much. Jason Bush. Yeah. It's just sell your copies on what you may call it. Whatever that thing is called. Whatnot. Yeah. I got a couple slabs to crack. Ooh, really? One poor sap, I had to sell them to me for 20 bucks. Oh, yeah, you told me that. Yeah, good. Well, we should do that. Rob has to pay for an Anaheim mansion. It's true. And 3 college degrees. He has 2. The thing is, Spider Guy, my buddy, who used to work for Extreme Studios before he got to work over at Marvel, he got to go to the Rob Liefeld Christmas party, and I hear they take a tram from the stadium up to his mansion, and he was telling me about it, and it's just amazing. Rob's also married to one of 3 sisters. They're all triplets. I guess they're triplets. Dwayne Muth. Rob is an okay in a ringmaster sort of way, but his art, money trash. Just trash money. Well, like I said, I mean, I can realistically say I'd rather read a Rob Liefeld drawn comic book than a Todd McFarlane drawn comic book. Todd McFarlane drawings are boring. His layouts aren't good at all. I mean, stylistically, I think he's much better than Rob Liefeld. But if you're talking about anatomy, they're both garbage at it. You know what I mean? And if you're talking about continuity, they're both garbage at it anyway. Rob will put he'll put some ornament on a person's head, and then he'll take it off in the next panel. And McFarlane you've found totally different number. I mean, this guy draws Spawn all the time. How can he not draw him the same all the time? And then he's putting different numbers of things on him, spikes on him and stuff like that. Just not very good in just that regard. But the better storyteller. So Rob tells a mediocre story and really soups it up in his style. And it's not good, but it is, because it does the job that's needed to be done. Whereas Todd McFarlane bogs the story down more often than not. How many great fight scenes do you remember from Todd McFarlane? I mean, how many scenes of things do you really remember that were all that great? You remember the covers. I remember some of the things that happen, but it's not until Eric Larson comes on that I think Spider-Man gets good under Michelini. You know what I mean? So, I remember those X-Force issues, no problem whatsoever. Those are great. I almost said they're great. But compared to Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man issues, left to his own devices, those are shit. Those are shit. It's Rob Liefeld rips off properly, whereas Todd McFarlane just doesn't and doesn't care. You know what I mean? When he was getting in all those arguments about Peter David, about what writing is and trying to better yourself, and you got all these people supping at your teat, and you're giving them garbage all the time. You got to give them more. You left the thing that you don't like just to do the thing that you like. And then most of the people, with the exception of Eric Larson, they don't even do that shit anymore. Oh, sure, Todd McFarlane gets his name on it. Wouldn't it be great if Spawn did this? Then you got some writer write it, and some artist draw it, maybe inks a page or 2 via the computer, Sorry, I was talking so shitty about him. McFarlane backgrounds and inks on Rob action scenes. Yeah, those are good. McFarlane, it should be an inker, right? Exactly. Deadpool team up is fun. Yeah, exactly. when I remember when when Liefeld did a Major X, and I read it, and I was like, holy shit! It was like a time travel back to the 90s. I was younger again, and it's just Rob is perpetually, consistently that child that he always was. Like, he's never needed to grow up because he was so exciting in the way that he does it. Even the backgrounds and the panels lack a lot of the details. Yet it's Rob's panel progressions, his fight scenes, poses, musculature. It's nothing without Rob's own art. Amen. No one goes to a Rob Liefeld comic to see him write. You know what I mean? Only Daniel Warren Johnson and Matt Wagner get away with that in my book. All right, let's go to the best of last week. We might be interrupted for a little bit. Best of last. Oh, wait, let me get this comment. Oh, one more. Spider Guy, what do you think of Miles Morales' ongoing artist do some X-Men pages recently? I liked it. Had Bachalo energy. Dwayne Muth, Peter David forgot more about writing than McFarlane ever did. ever learned. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Peter David, he was kind of old man yelling at clouds type thing at the time. And McFarlane was kind of like, rocking the young dude kind of vibe. I'm a rock star. I'm doing exciting things in comics. I'm making people care. And for sure. But, some of us were trying to get into the business and really cared at one time about things. And Peter David kind of represented that aspect of it, calling artists that write wartists. But, I guess ignoring Will Eisner, John Byrne, although I think Peter David and John Byrne were happy with each other ever. Oh, comic books. All right, first up, obviously, any best of last year, you'd have to think about the Transformers. That artist that I can write and not draw would be Daniel Warren Johnson, but he did do the first 6 issues last year. And he's continued on this story he's going to be doing it till issue 24. And then, I think, what's his name? The Image founder, Robert Kirkman, better back up even more money. This is great book. I didn't read anything past issue 6, but everybody keeps saying it's great. And, of course, it sells very well. And we do the spin for the 1 in 50. Rob. Telling you what a good book is, Rob. Steve Fox. Transformers. Sacrificers by Rick Remender. Rick Remender puts a lot of books out, and about half of them are good. This one's great. This and the, what's that miniseries that he does right now? Grommets. Really, really good. Don't really care about the other books he's doing, but these are fantastic. And this is a regular series. There's been 2 trades. I've ordered more, and it just keeps selling out. Max Fiermer is the main artist on it. I'm blanking on the other guy's name right now, but he's really, really good fill-in illustrator. And if you can't have Max Fiermer on the book, that dude's really, really good follow-up. So the Sacrifices of Rick Remender is excellent. We've got Batman Offworld, the miniseries that will never end because it will never come out. We only have one more to go. It's written by Jason Aaron with art by Doug Monkey. And even though there's been a long delay, each issue is still very, very good. And I can't wait for the end. And I can't wait to get the hardcover. Better be a hardcover, DC. Savage Sword of Conan is a 6-issue miniseries. It is magazine-sized, and it's black and white, just like the Marvel days. So old-timers rejoiced. And you know what? So did some young-timers, too. Conan's hot, and Savage Sword is excellent. There's different people working on it. Look at the lady genuflecting at the leg of our hero with 2 big weapons in his hands and defeated enemies and horses all around. Holy shit. This is like, man, again, like Rob Liefeld, but in even better way, it's like me being able to go back in time and read my dad's books, but they're new stories. Fan-fucking-tastic. And Titan is also publishing, along with Heroic, who owns all the Robert E. Howard catalog, Conan the Barbarian. Jim Zub, I've done an interview with him. It's on our Patreon page, and you can go back there and listen to it. I think I have it privated on our YouTube channel, and he's just a really wonderful interview. I had him back on during the pandemic, and he was working at Marvel at the time doing Conan. He works with a lot of licensed materials, and he's just a perfect person for that type of thing. He also does Dungeons and Dragons over at, I think it's IDW, and other things. And he also has some creator-owned stuff in Skull Kickers, which is also fantasy. Anyway, his Conan the Barbarian is really fantastic. Of course, it's really driven by the Richard De La Torre art, even though he's not the artist anymore. Robert De La Torre, sorry. It's still a really great book, regardless of who's doing the book. And if you're a Conan fan, you should definitely check it out. This miniseries was super hot. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. It's a serial killer, animal, anthropomorphic thing. And I probably don't sound like I'm really thrilled with it, but it was pretty interesting in the very least. And I did like the art a lot. Kneel Before Zod, written by Joe Casey with art by Dan McDade. And it was supposed to be an ongoing series, then a 12-issue series, then ended as an 8-issue series. And I loved each and every issue, but you could totally see what was happening. There was a little robot by the name of Yule 9. And, it's just about time, everybody. I have to turn on this. Okay. All right, let me just turn this off really quick. All right, we got this going on. Excellent. All right, shut up. Snooze. Jeez. All right, let me get to this video. All right, how can I... So it didn't continue. What were you going to expect, you know? Nobody's going to read Zod for more than 12 issues, right? Right? But yeah, this was really cool. The robot's name was Yule 9, and I have a thing I want to talk about.
Series they led 3-0. At that point, it would be 3-2. With a heating up Judge who settles under this ball, but then drops it.
Taught us all an important lesson about holes. Our director!
Happy New Year, East Coasters. 2 times I got to talk about the Dodgers with strangers today, and it was about back-to-back, baby. It's going to happen. How do you not give Shohei when he can pitch every single year, or pitch all year long and hit the way he hits, and not give him the MVP every single year? That's what I meant to say. Before Zod, Yule 3. I'm Yule 3. Yule 9 versus Punchbot. Now that would be an epic showdown. You know what I mean? Or maybe those robots could rise up together. Oh, I would love to see that. Next up, we have a Rook Exodus. Like I was saying, a lot of books came out from Ghost Machine, and they all do pretty darn well. And the people that are enjoying them are really enjoying them, not just in the store, but outside of the store. But it isn't the greatest seller of all time. So, it's pretty steady when as far as its monthly status. This book, Red Coat by Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. The other one was Jason Fabik and Jeff Johns. And then Geiger returned, and Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, all fantastic illustrators. I love Gary Frank. He did a lot of Peter David Hulks back in the day, and I love those. And Geiger. So Ghost Machine books. And there's more that have come out recently, but they're not all written by Jeff Johns anymore. So check those out. Next up, we have Blood Squad 7. This is Joe Casey and Paul Fry. He's a Stuart Immonen-esque style artist. So if you like Stuart Immonen, and I do, you should definitely check this one out. There's inkers, colorists, and letterers. And a fantastic story. And it is violent. And it is really, really hardcore. And it's hard to explain without just saying all the words that I don't want to say to you, because you should be surprised by this. I have said in the past, and I hate to do this because I'm not a fan, and this is something I have said also in the past, of people saying, hey, this book is this and this, or hey, this movie is this and this, or if you like this and this, then you're gonna love that. But this is what if Youngblood and Watchmen were combined. No, it's really stupid to say that. You're right, you. But really, Youngblood is the name that you should be using when you see this book right here. Because as you remember, Joe Casey did Dutch this year. And Dutch was a miniseries that led into this. And it was all about getting the team back together. And the team is still being got back together, but there's behind the scenes stuff politically, and there's behind the scenes stuff within the group. There's legacy people, so lots of Nepo heroes. There's all sorts of really, really cool things of today, especially. But it's all the characters, or at least the ideas of the characters. So again, if you don't say Blood Squad 7 and you say Youngblood, then you're going to take those Youngblood characters, and 30 years later, this is the team. So I highly recommend this book. It's fantastic, especially if you read books back in the 90s, superhero books. It's the same thing. I got to get my face on for this one. It's the same thing I was talking about earlier when we're talking about McFarlane and Peter David arguing with each other about art and comics. You're not just doing superhero comics. You can do more than just superhero comics. It's not about just necessarily preaching, but it's also examining the things that go on today that affect your heroes. And the thing is that at Marvel and DC, you can't really expect that to happen all the time, because those characters have to happen tomorrow. But when Eric Larson's gone, RIP, there's no more Savage Dragon unless his family sells it to somebody. You know what I mean? And then it's just a corporate entity that needs to keep going on. Or maybe somebody at DC will be just constantly anally raping him, or something like, Hulk will be anally raping. It'll be worse than that. It'll be the Asian one. I can't remember his name right now. Can't remember right now. Amadeus Cho. totally, you get it why I would say that, right? When I say the Hulk, right? You can't do that. But in Blood Squad 7, you can. And thankfully, there's no bad rock in this one because holy shit. Now, this is why it's like Watchmen. Alan Moore wasn't able to use the Charlton characters that he was supposed to use. So he created the new ones. And now there's a whole argument on, well, there is no argument on who owns it, the characters. DC owns it because they won't ever let them go. Corporate. CM Punk. No, I'm just joking. But the young blood, oh my God, what if this concrete-like character, I can't remember his stupid name because who cares? It's not Bad Rock, and who cares when it was Bad Rock, right? It's only cool if I think that this is Bad Rock getting raped by the Thing. This year, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero came out through Kirkman's company, but it's not part of the Energon universe. It is written by Larry Hama, who's pretty much been the only writer of this series. The art by Wild Goose has been, oh no, is it Wild Goose or no, it's Mooneyhan. It's been fantastic. And when he left, Paul Pelletier, who's kind of like a yeoman, everyday kind of average artist, good, but not great. Solid, you can get a monthly out, which is better than most people. He came in and kicked ass. And Larry Hama's kicking ass like better than ever on G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. Like maybe when I was reading, I thought it was maybe the best. And if I go back and examine them, I love the wordless issue. It's easy to read. Anyway, this has been really good. I've been enjoying it. It's dumb fun, but it's good. It doesn't need to be more than what it is, and it isn't, and it's perfect. Doom by Sanford Green and Jonathan Hickman. Sanford Green with the art on this book sold out ASAP, mostly because of the MF Doom connection, which was just words on the very first page, but the connotation is there. And hey, man, we love that stuff, right? Anyway, Sanford Green's a fantastic illustrator, and Jonathan Hickman's Jonathan Hickman, and Doom is Doom. And next year, get ready for Doom come February. Late in the year, we had some contenders. I don't have a picture for Absolute Wonder Woman, but I do for Absolute Batman. He blew the doors off the store. I had extra copies, Rob, and I sold them all out. Boy, I wish I would have even got more. Rob. I screwed up on Superman and sold out, but I didn't get the extra copies like I did for Batman or Wonder Woman, which I sold out of. I mean, I sold out of it so bad that I couldn't even get a picture of that one. They've been sort of slowing down, but it's kind of that time of the year where it should slow down. We'll be talking about Absolute Superman in just a moment. This is the time for me to go back to the comments to see if you guys have figured out what the best of the year is. Again, we're talking about sales, some longevity, and pretty much what I think about it also. It's going to come down to that this time. Sorry. Let's see here. Let's see. Going back up. Going back down. Melnikov, yeah, I saw that one. Saw the double page. Rob is a master. I hate to say that. All right. Dwayne Myth ended it, starting it. McFarlane Batman and Spawn from years back. So news. Are you trying to get me drunk? Yet I remember the one which I think was written by Chuck Dixon and drawn by Klaus Janson or Klaus Janssen, depending on how it's really pronounced. Everybody shit on that one. Everybody. Let's see. McFarlane backgrounds and oh yeah, we already did that. Oh, I must have missed that. That's what it was. Happy New Year's to Yule and everyone here tonight. It was fun to rediscover new comics again at your shop, Yule. Oh, Bay Area Retro. Here's to a great 2025. All right. Excellent. I can't wait to see you, man. Thursday. 12 years of Hulk from Peter, and he wasn't even a Hulk fan. LOL. Wow. I didn't even know that. Well, I mean, I didn't imagine, but also, are we talking about Eric Larson? Remender is another that always scrapes back with news stories. I like him. I feel there was some bullying by somebody, whoever it may be, for Remender not to go back to Marvel or stay at Marvel, because he was still at Marvel when everybody left. And you can start thinking about back then who all left. And then he was still around, and then he wasn't around. People kind of talk shit about him on the social media. Then they stopped talking shit about him on the social media, and he never went back. And it's a shame, because we're talking about the joy of comics. You know what I mean? Like Remender taking that good stuff and bringing it to Time Slide. And then, Rob, I might have gotten your fucking book. I wasn't a Peter David Hulk reader back then, which is why I'm surprised I stayed with Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hulk since #1. Well, they're a little bit different. The thing about Peter David was he took the story that had happened before him, John Byrne mostly, and then he moved the character on from there into the different phases of the characters. There was an episode, there was a run during that, the Pantheon stories. After a while, those were kind of the lamest, personally. Also, I think that was the Gary Frank ones, which is kind of upsetting. Like, some of the Gary Frank weren't those, and then they were. But those were the only ones I really hated. The 420th issue where Jim gets AIDS and Hulk doesn't help him out. Bruce doesn't help him out. A lot of black guys were getting AIDS back then in comics. Batman Off Schedule, great book, but 14 months late and 5 out of 6 issues. Amen. Let me tell you. But not as bad as that Superman by Mark Waid. Oh, also Gotham by Gargoyle of Gotham, Batman came out last week. I love the art, but I'm completely lost with the plot. Yeah. You should never pass on. These are comics you don't know when they're going to come out, but you're just happy when they are, or you just wait till it's collected. This is definitely some trade stuff, but I tell you, or trade waiting stuff. But I get the noir issues because Grandpa, black and white, baby. That's the way to go. So I haven't even read those though. Dwayne Muth is in Buffalo. Wow, happy New Year, man. That catch was the Buckner. No, don't say that. Former Dodger man. Yeah, he totally took his eyes off the ball. About to take down a 100 meg Ice Groovy T-Cheers. I'll pass out right before midnight. Amen. Oh, Erica Sullivan saw Mr. Show live September 24th, 2002 at the Orpheum, Boston, Massachusetts. I got a Pit Pack trucker hat. I've never seen you wear that. Do you still have it? Paul Pelletier did Peter David Hulk too. Sure did. Fave artist, Spider guy. Seriously, not Mark Bagley. Paul Pelletier. So someday, next year, I'm going to make a resolution right now. We will be doing next year. So, all right. Have I talked to you about my stint on the Wrestling Council? I came up with this segment called "Who Better Than," or "Who's Better Than," and it was "Who's Better Than Randy Orton." You know what I mean? So we take a wrestler and we say, "Is he better than Randy Orton?" And that's it. In baseball, it'd be what? The Mendoza line, even though we really know it's the Bob Uecker line. But Mendoza, the Mendoza line. For me personally, in comic books, it's the Al Milgrom level, the Al Milgrom line. Are you above or below Al Milgrom? And the reason why I choose Al Milgrom is because he's horrible. But he's so horrible that he just continued to get work until he couldn't get work anymore. Do you know why? Well, we'll talk about that on the very first time we do this. But the idea is this: he wrote, he lettered, he colored, he drew interiors and covers, and was an editor, coincidentally. So you got your Al Milgrom level. We can choose any aspect of comic books, and we can decide whether somebody is above or below. And don't think that everybody is below the 200 hitter because it's, or above the 200 hitter, because there's plenty of people that are below the 200 hitter. It happens all the time. And there are people that think this 200 hitter is a legend. We just had a death last week of Greg Gumbel. And people were RIP legend on X. And I'm like, man, what are you going to say about Bryant Gumbel? You just took legend. Is there anything better than legend status? You can't put Greg Gumbel, RIP, Greg Gumbel, legend status on that dude. Just give him his fucking name. You know what I mean? So we got Al Milgrom. So someday we're going to be doing the Al Milgrom level, and hopefully we have professionals here at that time. Oh man, this is really rip on comic books day, I think. Dixon always brings his A game. And Dixon's a fantastic writer. I like him a lot, but Dwayne Booth, let me tell you. I've been on some shows with him. I love Chuck Dix. Nobody likes Chucky Dix more than me. You know what I mean? I love Chucky Dix. All right, finally we got some guesses, guys. A Green Lantern. No. Green Lantern's good, but it got derailed by that stupid 2-month thing. And it got derailed by Absolute Power. And I can't give it to that. I love Jeremy Adams. I think he's really good. But I have a customer that is a relative by marriage of his. And he hasn't been on my show yet. You know what I mean? And he's an LA guy, at least where he lives. So there ain't no reason why he ain't on the show yet. You know what I mean? So get a hold of that guy. Also, Saga. No, but I should have said Saga. Saga came back and it's been doing really well for my store. It's still one of my number one sellers. No, Jason Bush got it right. The best book of the year was, and I just read this today. Holy cow. There was no Spider-Man in this issue unless you count a drawing by his daughter. But holy shit. There was all sorts of family drama going on it during a Christmas, get together. Jay Jonah was there talking to to Spidey's son. Uncle Ben was there. MJ's mom was fucking hitting on dudes. MJ has a sister. Their sister's a bitch. And holy cow, there was this ending. Oh my God. I couldn't believe the end. I was like, oh my God. She was ignoring this phone call by Gwen. And I'm like, there's going to be something big about this phone call that she keeps ignoring. But it's family drama. Mom, she's calling you. And kid wants to play on the phone the games. You know, that type of stuff. And you get to the end. And then there's another end. Oh my God. No, I got to drink this one for that. No, by far and away, I didn't order enough of this. Marvel, Penguin Random House, whoever you want to blame, didn't do what DC did. If they had, I would have known that, or I would have been able to order extras in the way that DC does it. DC doesn't do it super great, but they do it. Marvel doesn't give a shit. They just make a 1 in 50 Rob Liefeld variant. Those 5 fans that are going to care. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? No, Ultimate Spider-Man. This issue was amazing. Not only is this the best of 2 weeks ago. This might be the best issue of the series. When these people are just talking, Hickman's amazing. He can do gripping storytelling through dialogue, to me, better than anyone in comics right now. I mean, I'm thinking back on that J. Jonah Ben. I have a hard time not calling him just Uncle Ben story, where they're trying to get to the bottom of where they find out it's Harry and Peter's situation. And it was just like, man, this is fucking hardcore stuff. And this issue, I know people, this isn't Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah. This is what I signed up for. Who cares? It's just really goddamn good. And Jonathan Hickman, if it was, I mean, the Doom sold out. Gods sold well. Everybody was bitching about the price on the internet. Oh, Gods is $9. Who's going to want to buy these characters that nobody knows? It's stupid and long and hard to understand. And it was one of my best sellers of the year. I didn't mention it because I had to get Spider-Man so bad. All of these books, man, it's just Jonathan Hickman. I've loved him since I read him on Fantastic Four. I don't read all his creator-owned stuff. I don't care. His East to West was good, but I don't care about Manhattan Projects. The ones where he drew the art that he did, the I can't remember what it's called anymore. We just call it AI now. the pre-drawn art for you. He would do that stupid shit. And yeah, just really, really good storytelling. I love the Fantastic Four. I love the Avengers. People poo-pooed the Avengers back then. I saw people jump on at the end of his Avengers run, leading into Secret Wars. I saw them jump in, different people jump in after or as Infinity was happening. I got so many people hooked on Avengers after I showed them what happened in New Avengers. And if you don't know the difference, when it syncs up, sort of like in the early parts, when you see Captain America, and then you realize that this shit's leading into this, when he's taking Grant Morrison's storylines in that, and then you realize that the whole Avengers thing you were reading, it's really just a continuation of the Fantastic Four, only now. Jonathan Hickman's amazing, and I'm going to be a supporter of his for a long time. And I ordered way too few Spider-Man in the very beginning. And the thing of the matter is that these issues are getting people to buy the Ultimates. They're getting them to buy the Ultimate X-Men. They're getting them to buy the Ultimate Black Panther. And really what I think they're doing, we've had a long run of really boring, long runs of comic books, especially at Marvel. I'm looking at you, Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm looking at you, other people I can't think of their names right now. I'm drinking, everybody. It's a celebration. New Year and everything like that. These people are catching up with their Spider-Man. Maybe they're like me, 2 weeks late. They read the Spider-Man. They're going to be like, holy shit. And then they come in and they buy entire runs. Oh, I'm going to get 3 at a time of these black. I'm having to go back and reorder the 3rd and 4th and 5th printings of things so that I can make sure I still have them on the shelf a year later at cover price. And thanks to Penguin Random House, I still get a free shipping. So yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man. It's not just its selling thing itself. It's selling all these other books. And there's more right now than the latecomer Absolute Batman. We'll see how the Absolute Batman affects Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Superman. There's going to be Martian Manhunter. There's going to be Flash. It's going to be a hard sell because DC, for the most part past Batman, is not very strong. There's strong aspects to other arenas in that universe, But when people talk about those people dying off, now that's a real thing. All right. Let's see. 126. We're going pretty good. We got new comics and then that's it. All right. Let's see. I have an older sister who lives in Vacaville, former home to Art Adams. A former home. I know he's local to the area. He does all the conventions. My buddy went to the San Francisco convention recently and got a print of his signed by him. I love Art Adams. This is one I would have. So Art Adams, above or below? See, what I would do is I would get a bunch of interiors of both people and a bunch of covers. And I would say, who do I think could... See, my problem with Art Adams is longevity, is amount of product put out there. Okay? So better, equal, less than Al Milgrom. Does Al Milgram's quantity of everything surpass Art Adams? Very little of anything is where I would make the argument. And I would have to come up with something. Is that like the Mendoza line? Yeah, it's exactly like the Mendoza line. Milgram inked Starlin and can meet deadlines. Sure. But so could who's the guy that inked all of the Kirby stuff? Vinny Coletta. And I could ink Jack Kirby's pencils back then when he was drawing 60 fucking books a month. You know what I mean? I could ink them because he was drawing the entire thing, shaded perfectly. My buddy who inked, the guy I talked about earlier, would always say, artists never know where the light source is coming from. So you always want to kind of ignore where they're really doing the shading. It's good if your inker is actually able to illustrate the comic also, because then Frank Miller could throw out a bunch of garbage and Klaus Janson could fix it up. You know what I mean? Milgram can draw a comic book. Now, can he draw a comic well? Well, he might be able to from a very garbage Jim Starlin art. Jim Starlin, I love his art. But if you keep continuing to look at his people, they start to kind of melt. You know what I mean? Mike Grell also has that thing. When I'm rude, I'll let you know more about that. Al Milgram is the John Olerud of... He doesn't have a Twitch, does he? Jeremy is very cool, pretty approachable. I haven't really got in contact with him. I went to a party and had the opportunity to get home early. So grateful I had a few drinks with good friends and I'm relatively sober and won't have a sucktastic day tomorrow hungover. Amen, Eric. Are you not working tomorrow? Damn, I should have just invited you on the show, man. I wish Art Adams would do more monkey. Yeah, how many did he do? Like 6 issues? Like that much even? I don't even think. The lead up to Secret Wars was amazing and had to be read from the beginning. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I had people begging for those comic books during that time. It was amazing. Let me put, since I won't look so horrible if I do this. Let's look at, do I have, my fave channels. I've changed it up. It's very few right now. And only a couple are comic book related, mind you. And if Eric Sullivan doesn't keep getting some shows out, I'm going to have to take that one off. You know what I mean? So first one, guitar. Second one, Dungeons and Dragons related stuff. Hasbro. Intelligent conversation. Not unlike Thinking Critical. And then there's Erica Sullivan. Just joking. He's a good guy. Oh, damn. Milgram Avengers and West Coast Avengers. Yeah, see, I like those emojis for that. But that's me personally. Whereas my buddy, he read everything Milgram was doing, whether he liked Milgram or not. You know what I mean? R.I.P. Original Marvel Universe. The current one was created by Reed Richards. Was it? Was it? I don't remember if they really went through with that. You know what I mean? All right, let me play a little video so that I can give us like a line of an Al Milgren line of demarcation. God, how am I going to stay up another 2.5 hours? I don't drinking too much already. Oh, I know. You know what I could do? All right. I'm going to put this in the chat. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know how to do that anymore. Comments. Oh, I can do it right here. All right. If anybody is willing. All right. I put the link in the chat. No cursing. You don't have to do that. That's just in case. I want to say Happy New Year to anybody that's interested. You're all out there right now. I appreciate everybody showing up. And I want to say thanks to everybody, especially to the people that give me cash. And, you know, the best way to be seen is to give me cash.
You know, my last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh? Paisanos! 650 your change. Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisanos. So here's a little something.
Antonio!
Si!
Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patrona!
And it's because of the people that have given me cash that I'm able to announce to everybody that maybe didn't hear before last week on the saddest Christmas ever. That fantastic, and I may not have really explained myself correctly. Ever since we moved from the big store to the small store, we've had some debt. And during the pandemic, we received money that we paid debt off with, but it wasn't that kind of money spent the way it was supposed to be spent so that we didn't have to pay it back, which we did almost immediately. And that put us really behind an 8-ball. And we were already behind an 8-ball. And I don't know what that looks like on a pool table, but it wasn't good. And you know, I had to let my brother go, who was working at the store for nothing. But, you know, he was getting unemployment. And I didn't pay myself anything very rarely. And when I did, it was mostly to pay for the car or the dog or, you know, something very not extravagant, with the exception of the one time. All right, the 2 times there was something extravagant, and to most people, it wouldn't even be that. And I've had a lot of help from a lot of people, and mostly, you know, it was Jill, and it was Eugene, and it was also a ton of patrons that are and aren't patrons anymore. And you know, I've got the people on the YouTube channel, and I really want to start busting ass. And it's because I can announce, and I have already, but I can announce again that we no longer owe money to the bank. You know what I mean? When you have all this money that you owe, you're just like trying to pay off this and that, and it's just so hard. And it's incredible to be in this situation, to be able to say, wow, if I do something now, it's for the going forward of the store. It's still a real scary time anytime and there's an administration change, for the good or the bad. But anytime there's an administration change, it doesn't even matter. From one to the next, it doesn't matter. It's always scary. You don't know how things are going to be, you know, how things are going to react to that. And we started when there was a recession. You know, everybody always wants to no pun intended, trump up what something is now and compare it to yesterday, whether it be the big H or, a depression where people were throwing themselves out of buildings, But during the Obama times, at the very beginning, that was a real tough time to start a business. I mean, kind of a stupid time, but you got to jump when you're able to. And that's when we did. And I really wanted to plan better, but it looked like other people were going to get into that situation before we were. So we did it. And now we're here in this situation. And there is still technically a lot of debt, but it won't ever be seen by the bank. The government don't know nothing about it. You know what I mean? He says on the internet. You're seen. That's what I'm saying. Thank you very much. And it's such a relief. I mean, it's like, and in some ways, it's even scarier to be at zero because now it's like you have no fucking excuse. You know what I mean? So, yeah, next year should be interesting. I have lots of plans of things that I want to do, things that are going to better the store. And maybe, even in the small enclosure that we are, there might be employee or ease as far as like people helping out type stuff. People always help out anyway, and it's really awesome. But it's tough to not be able to get sick, It's tough to not open the store or go to a place when you have to be back. And that's a thing for sure. But that's for paid customers. So you don't get that video. I told you that earlier. All right, going back to chat. Huzzah. Amen. I mean, tell Eric, I don't know. I mean, other people, I have a buddy, he went to college. Oh, shit. He took classes so that he, should teach, but he doesn't do that. But I'm not even close to what he's at. So, I feel for him, but hopefully Biden did one last good thing, so to speak. Don't blame Reed. It's all Tom Brevoort's fault. What a round boy. Amen. Tom Brevoort. Or Hickman's. I feel all this at this time they didn't push back or input much until after. Maybe. I think that's kind of Hickman's fault, right? I mean, if we're talking about the X-Men especially. I really have a problem with that X. I had a problem with Hickman's X-Men to begin with. The problems that we saw with them being basically the villains of the story, like you had to really ramp up the humans' interaction with them, but we were only seeing the mutants being shitheads. And then when the humans did it, it's like I have to just accept the fact that all the shit that I've seen with dealing with Mystique and dealing with Destiny and dealing with Magneto and dealing with all these other people and disparate ideas of what freedom is and trying to coexist, like that's all very fun stuff if it's Blood Squad 7, which that is not. Okay, I just want to let you know. But if it's Blood Squad 7, that's fine. But if it's the X-Men, it's not fine. And when I read the X-Men now and people have a problem with the X-Men, they're trying to, I'm going to just simplify it, have their cake and eat it too. That stuff did happen, but we're trying to move on. And until we have the people that are going to really move the X-Men forward, this stuff is just kind of going to float along. And that's why Jed McKay's good, right? Yeah, kind of so. But that is what comics are. You know what I mean? Existing and existing and existing until that really big Todd McFarlane comes on. What did Todd McFarlane do? I don't know. Mary Jane was smoking. They were married. I liked that art. Well, what else did you like? Spider-Man fighting those femme fatales with the Eric Larson artwork, and I really didn't like that Mark Bagley stuff because they really went dark during the 90s and people were dying and it was stupid. Oh yeah, I really want Mary Jane back in my Spider-Man book. Great way to start the new year. Well, Jason, if you're talking about me, I thank you. If you're talking about the Dodgers, I thank you even more. I'm not that ready for prime time, or in that case, late night. Oh, hey, no problem. I'm just saying. I'm going to bed after this, and we're gonna end in just a second. I would get up doing live streams. I figured I can't do shows on most nights because I can't sleep. Amen. Gotta keep the church running. Yeah, that's right. We gotta keep the church running. I worked at my LCS for about 12 years and still helped out when needed. Amen, Dwayne. That's kind of what it. Dude, I went by the local comic store that's local to me, not to Fantastic Comics. And between you and me, it's not looking so great. And the manager's leaving come the end of tomorrow. And I don't think there's any way they can convince him to stay. And without that manager, oof. You know what I mean? My biggest problem was that the Orcus ended up being a cheap proxy for conservatives. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, they were definitely wearing red, right? That was a cheap shot. And how cheap shot shit. And how is that for a general audience? Yeah, I don't know. I did realize someday there was a Joe Kelly Justice League comic book, JLA. And he wrote a story, and it was kind of poignant from the time. But I read and this was when DC still had letters pages. Someone was saying, I don't like politics being brought into comic books. And I'm thinking back on all the times I saw politics in comics. And I thought about Captain America punching Hitler. I'm just joking. I didn't think about that at all. I pretty much thought about Green Lantern, Green Arrow, actually. And I was like, so? That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Marvel is so, I don't know. I mean, I think they were doing what they needed to do. That's the best I can say. They're doing Professor X like Punisher. His creepy behavior in X-Men 1 came back to haunt him. Listen, ladies, they mature faster than men, right? My goodness. I can't watch Revenge of the Nerds. Is there nothing you won't take away from me? I agree. No, Professor X, I think mostly the Professor X thing was back in the Joss Whedon issue. Oh, let me put that line back up. I think when I didn't like Professor X, it was probably because of Joss Whedon. Interesting that I should suggest Joss Whedon was writing somebody being creepy. You know what I mean? That's the first time I really thought Professor X. I mean, Kitty came out and Professor X, you're a jerk. You know what I mean? Oh, I love that picture too. I don't like how it's been appropriated. I think it's anti-Semitic. How do you like that? But Professor Xavier, you're a jerk. And yeah, he's a jerk, but he's like, oh, this is for the best. You're gonna go to the New Mutants, you shouldn't be hanging out with us in space and fighting aliens and evil mutants and all sorts of crazy stuff that could get you killed. Oh, I've been doing this all this time, and I love Peter and all this other stuff. Well, you're a jerk, and it's all right. Kitty always trying to prove her worth and calling the New Mutants the X babies and stuff like that. But it was Joss Whedon when he imprisoned and basically enslaved Danger, the entity that ran the Danger Room, the AI robot. I don't know what the fuck it is. Stupid, if you ask me. And that's when it was for me, Professor X being crummy. Professor X with a beer ball in his head. Amen. I was like, what? It's got to be obviously hiding that this isn't Prof, the Prof, right? Oh, the X babies. Amen, Dwayne. I know how old you are now. Thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a great year. It's been a hard year. It's been a fantastic year. And I hope there will be many more. I think I'm going to call the next episode Volume 2, Number 1. What do you think? Nobody came up with a title, but if you can, before that happens, leave it in the comments down below. And definitely give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Why did I say it so late? See you next year.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the trees from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their bluish food complexions, and just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona kept trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous Sunset Sam.